Hello, everyone. This is Whole and Beautiful. I am Angela Oliphant, your host, and I am so glad that you have joined me for my first live show. Yay! It's going to be an awesome show tonight. I have a guest that's here with me, and I am excited about talking to her. I am excited about what we're going to talk about tonight because we're going to be talking about transition, reinvention. It's just going to be an amazing night. So you want to tag, you want to like, you want to share, you want to comment tonight and let us know how the live show is going for you. We want to see your comments. We want you to be here. We want you to flow with us. And we just want you to enjoy tonight's show. Tonight, I have my guest, like I said, her name is Joy King. And she is going to come on. She's going to talk about different things that are happening in her life, different things that she's about to walk into and do. And we're excited about that. Can y'all tell I'm excited? Hi, Linda. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Yay. Thank you. I am going to go ahead and have Joy come in with me. And then I'm going to introduce her. Hi, there she is. Hi, Joy.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good evening. I am well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Guys,
Awesome.
Joy is here, and I am. Hi, Miss A. How are you? I'm glad that you're here tonight. I am going to go into this bio just a little bit, Joy, because I was reading your bio, and I was like, man, we could do an interview just off the bio alone. It's like the bio I was reading it, I was like, oh, I could start right there and just talk about that and then start right there. But we're gonna do just a little bit of her bio, and then we're gonna go into this interview with Miss Joy. Not everyone has a tragic background or troubled upbringing, nor has everyone born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Arthur Joy King was born right in the middle of an average life. And while growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, she noticed that everyone had a voice in her community, came with tragic history at the core of their triumph. But Joy, being a woman of strong Christian faith, knew that she had a voice too, even though she had no tragedies. She decided that she would use this voice to help others recognize that through God, anything is possible. That part right there, I was like, oh my goodness, because I've always said that you don't have to have a tragedy in order to have a story. And I was like, when I saw that in your bio, that spoke volumes to me. And I was like, that is just so good, the way that was put together, because you don't have to have that tragedy story in order to have a story to tell. Joy, from that, can you just go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself? If y'all remember, she was back on my first show when I did the radio show. Now she's here with my first show doing live TV. So I'm glad that she's here. Joy, just share with us a little bit about you and who you are.
Okay, most definitely. But I am going to say, you always know I have to kind of get away from what you tell me. Because listen, can we just take a moment and celebrate you for this TV show?
Thank you, Joy.
Y'all just don't know, listeners, how excited I am. I'm going to get to your question, but let me just tell y'all, okay. Angela and I we go back now almost 20 years. I mean, we got some almost 20 years with us now, being my big sister. When I lived in Columbia, look, I was saying when we lived, you still live there, but when I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and we were doing ministry together, and it was so awesome because I think about it. You started out with the magazine. We would have different women functions where you were interviewing, and we've always talked about that you were the Oprah of Kingdom. And so for you now to have went from newsletter to radio to TV, I am sitting up here too excited. I celebrate you. I thank God for you. I pray that, he just takes this and blows it away, like to the point where you don't even recognize what's going on in the next 90 days, because this is so powerful. So I want to celebrate you.
Thank you.
Yes. So, just telling a little bit about myself. My name is Joy, as she said. I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I am an Army veteran, so I have lived everywhere, countries, cities, states, all that good stuff. And so, I ended back up here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, a place where I said I would never come back to. And it wasn't because it was bad. I just believe, hey, I was of the city life. I believe that, hey, once I got out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, I envisioned myself when I got out of the military being going to law school and being a lawyer in Boston, living in a big law. And so here I am in Fort Wayne, Indiana. But you know what? God is so good. And when you read my bio, it just even reminded me all the more how I just decided that, you know what? I don't have to have this story of, guess what happened to me. And I don't take away from people who have. I've heard some prolific things and some ways that people have actually, weaved themselves out of what's happened in their past. But what I decided to do and what I made a promise to God to do was every time He allowed me to have a voice, every time I was able to stand in front of people, it would be most of all to uplift Him and also to uplift them. And so it's just to the point where I decided that it's okay to be average. I wanted to give the women in the room who are sitting there and sometimes they cower down, like, I don't know if I have anything to say. And I wanted them to see, listen, all you've got to do is open your mouth and say, this is what I know for sure. And when I leave you, hopefully and prayerfully, you'll be better than when I came. And so that is my goal in life, and everything that I do, I want to leave people better. If I get the mic, if I'm able to speak in front of people, I want them to feel like I gave them that virtual hug when we leave.
Yes, and that's awesome. And I've been in when you have spoken in different places and stuff and been there, and I'm like on the edge of my seat because I'm like, oh, what is she gonna say next? And it is so exciting to see her out and about and ministering and out and speaking, because whatever event, if you see Joy at an event, you see her name and she's gonna be at an event, you want to be there. You want to be right there in the front row so you can hear what she's saying, because it's always exciting and you always leave with something great to add to your life, to help you to grow and to move forward. Joy, tonight we were going to be talking about transition and reinvention. And I'm like, I love it, because right now this is a transition for me. And I know that you've been going through a lot of different transitions yourself. And simply a transition is like we're moving to another place, or you're changing the condition of a certain situation, or a change that is coming in your life. With me with this TV show, it started into TV, but it started out radio, and I was more comfortable with the radio side. I saw the TV side before I did it, but then I was real comfortable with the radio. But I was like, okay, let's step out here and transition into the television side, which I'm excited about that too, because I know that more transition is coming. But I wanted you just to talk about, we have like 4 different types of transition, which is anticipated, the unanticipated, and then we have the what is it, the non-event, and then like a sleeper transition. Sleeper transition is that you don't expect it, it's coming, it comes up, and it's gradual. It's just a gradual thing that begins to happen over time. But sometimes when we think about transition, the first thing we think about is that unanticipated thing that happens, and then it causes you to transition. But just like you said in the beginning, you don't have to have that tragedy in order to make that transition. But I want you to talk a little bit about your transition, and your reinvention, because you do have the book out, like we talked about the first time you were on, The Reinvented Woman, and that was a book of transition and reinvention. So if you can just share with us a little bit about the book, about what's going on with you now, about how life has come and how you're transitioning now.
Yes, of course. So let me say this. I have got to say this. So when you said that you were comfortable with radio and you had to transition to TV, I'm going to be honest with you. It had to happen. You spoke about this at least 20 years or more. Isn't this something how we get comfortable, even though we know what we've spoken, we know what the promise is, and we get comfortable? It had to happen. You were gonna get, look, he was gonna get you to TV no matter what. And so I just wanted to put that out there because you spoke it, and I know that you are a true woman of God, and once you speak something, it has to happen. You've spoken over my life plenty of times, and I've been able to reap the benefit of that. So I'm grateful. So now, when I wrote the book, Reinvented Woman, which we talked about it a little bit, of course, with my first interview. And so with that, I talked about all of, well, not all, let me not say that, but some of the transitions that I knew of people that I encountered as well as myself. And so we touched upon topics as far as becoming unstuck. And that was unstuck in things of childhood things, because even though you didn't have anything tragic, sometimes there's people who have been stuck because of absent fathers, absent mothers, things that have happened, things that they've seen, things that they have encountered. And so it was unstuck from childhood, unstuck from relationships. We talked about divorce, that word that a lot of times we don't talk about in kingdom, but it happens to us, and some people get stuck there. So we had to talk about it. We talked about becoming unstuck in our finances, becoming unstuck in relationships and different things. And so at the time that I wrote the Reinvented Woman, my grandmother and I, we both wanted to write a book, and she was 94 years old at the time. Raised, I never knew that was her dream. I never would. So when I told her that I was thinking about writing a book, she said, that's been my dream since I was a child. So those of you who read it, and if you haven't read it, make sure you get the Reinvented Woman, because my grandmother does the prologue. We talk a little bit about her story at the beginning. So I was so privileged to be able to honor her by allowing her name and seeing her name and her picture, in a book. And so after that book, my grandmother passed. And so although I had wrote about the Reinvented Woman, guess what? I found myself stuck. The person who had been in my life from day one and just was my best friend, certain things that were on course and on pace. And I had to learn how to become unstuck in my grief, how to become unstuck in the things that she had taught me. I couldn't be that person that says, oh, she left me and now I don't know what to do. She had always shared exactly what to do, exactly how to live my life, exactly what to do. And now I had to do it without her. And so I had to become unstuck in that grief part. And not only that, at that time, a couple years, I had gotten remarried. And so I'm going to tell you something. When you become remarried and you're over 40 and both of you have been set in your ways, it is a point. You're not stuck in anything, but it is a point where you have to realize, what, this isn't, getting married at 20 and when things are just like, life has happened, but it's a beautiful thing. But you have to learn how to transition into that. You have to learn into that independent woman, the one that you said, hey, well, I'm living my life, I'm single, I'm this, I'm that. And then you become under subjection to a man of God, and you realize that that is your covering and you're blessed and you're happy for it. But yet you still have to transition into that. You have to be prepared for that. You have to, do different. You have to do things differently. You got to move a little differently. And so that's what's been happening. And then I moved from one state to the next. So where I had been comfortable in South Carolina, then I came home to Indiana. I hadn't been here since I was 19 years old, and I come back, almost 50. And it's like I'm adjusting to the scenery. I'm adjusting to the environment. I'm adjusting to being around family. Whereas before, all I had did was come in for a week and leave here, come in for Christmas and leave here. And now I'm here. And so I learned that life is totally always evolving. You're always adjusting, but guess what? It's good. It's good not to get so comfortable in what you're doing, because you always have to assess where you're at. You look at where you've been, but you push forward to where you need to go. So that's where I've been since the last time I was on your show.
So you have been doing a lot, Joy. You have always been a person though that's been like on the go, and you've been out there and moving and going. It's like, slow down, Joy, slow down. Sometimes you have to take that break, but it's in you. It's a part of who you are, and you just move, and you move with ease. And it is awesome to see, because she is always on the go. She's always moving forward. She's always doing what she needs to do, which is awesome. And I am so excited for you with everything, with your marriage, with your move. I was like, look at that, Joy. I mean, everything is just awesome. But Joy, I want you to talk about, like, with the transition that you had, like with the transition of not being married, then being married again. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, like you just talked about it, a little bit about it, because I was reading a little bit about that in your book, because I was going back and refreshing, and I was like, oh, this is just so good. Because a lot of us don't realize, when I went through the same thing, when I went through a divorce, I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know that it was coming. I didn't know that it was like you said in your book, sometimes you get blindsided, and I was blindsided.
Mhm.
And when I go back and I look at stuff, then I say, well, you should have picked up on this or picked up on that. But how do you transition that, like you were just talking about, transition into another phase? Because with this, some people don't want to be married again. They're like, okay, I'm done. That was it. I'm over. I'm not that person. So I said that I want to be married again, but then I realized too, like you were just saying, you're not 20 no more. It's like it's going to be something just totally different. Can you share with us just a little bit about that transition, and then I want to go into some other stuff too with you.
Well, definitely, absolutely. So, like you said, I don't believe anyone gets married to say, "Well, listen, I know, 20 years from now, we're going to get a divorce." And then after you get the divorce, you are like, "No, I don't think I want to do this again," especially when you have been blindsided, especially when you had certain experiences. So, it is so funny because both my husband and I now, we both had said we were not getting married again. And so it is so, and he'll share his story, because guess what? I'm going to key y'all in. He has the Reinvented Man that's going to be coming out this year. And so he will share his side of the story. But what I will say, yes, what I will say is that I had to transition. For one, I had been healed from the first marriage, in the sense of I had accepted it. I knew that, it was no going back, and I was ready to look forward. Now, what my forward looked like changed when I got remarried. And so with that, I had to actually do a couple of things when I got remarried, and preparing for marriage. First of all, I could not make my current husband um, a victim of what I had went through in my past marriage. So I could not come into the marriage like, what you not gonna do, because guess what? I then set this pace of treating him like he was the former. And this is what God is doing now. So I had to transition my mind and get myself prepared for, this is all new, God. You promise all things new. I had to also learn how to submit to a man of God, knowing that this is someone who is after God's own heart. This is someone who asked God for me. I didn't listen. I didn't just show up. He had to ask God for me. And it had to have been where God had to tell me. And it was a true example of, if he wants you, he gonna come get you. Y'all, he had to come to South Carolina to get me. And I ain't talking about just one visit. He had to come get me. So with that though, I had to realize, Lord, this is the plan, because it's not good for man to be alone. And I had to look at myself. Listen, don't go off of your past. You are now a helpmeet. What is it that you need to help in? What is it that you need to help accomplish? What is this union doing? Because once you get remarried, it's not the oh, we're just gonna, live on the reservation and go off grid. It is, okay, what is the goal here? What are we doing? And let's work together with this. Let's do things together. Let's blend this the right way so that we can move forward. So you can't hold past things against him. You have to realize that if it's a man submitted to God, and when they're submitted to God, and even I found out through my coach, even when they're not submitted to God, they're still the head of the household. So you need to be able to submit to what is going on for the betterment of you and the betterment of your marriage and your household. And you also have to be willing to meet. You are helping to meet. So you've got to learn, because we, almost 50, over 40, we should know how to meet a little better than we did, the first marriage. So we got to learn how to meet a little better than what we did. All that old advice that we took, girl, don't share your money. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't you cook. Don't you be the one to clean. Here I am, the one cooking. Here I am, the one cleaning, because I'm helping to meet, but I still didn't lose myself in that. I still have my identity, and that's what he loves about me. So I can still be Joy, the wife, and that's not separate from Joy, the reinvented woman. And I had to come to sense with the fact that I can be a helpmeet, not lose what I need to do, and still fulfill my purpose. And so in a new marriage, or someone that is looking to get married, it's, let them find you working. Let them find you fulfilling your kingdom assignment and purpose, and let him come get you. Let him come get you. When he comes and gets you, that means that he's asked God for you, and he's going to treat you like the treasure that you are, because he's asked your father for your hand for real this time. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome. That is awesome. That is so awesome. I love it. I love it. With the that transition, you had that transition, and now you're transitioning, like with your book, you're transitioning that you transition your book into the reinvented tax service that you have, and it changed into, you have the playbook, you have so many things that came out of the reinvented woman. Can you talk about those transitions and how you came from like doing the book to going to the playbook to now you have the tax service, and then you have other things that are coming up? So share with us a little bit about that.
Okay, so yes, absolutely. So listen, I when I wrote the reinvented woman, I received such great reviews. And by that, I had those who wanted to use it as a Bible study, those who use it in their book club. And so I was like, what next? I thought it was such an awesome idea for someone to be able to read the book and also come up with a plan. So what I thought about was, when you're, and I haven't played sports since eighth grade, but when you're playing like organized sports, you've got a playbook. So this playbook is different scenarios of how you're going to play this game, because the ultimate goal is to win. So I said, what if I combined a journal and a workbook, meaning that I can sit, or a woman can sit in the comfort of her home, things she's never shared with other people, and read the book, have those things come up, and then journal in the playbook. or write out the plan in the playbook, write out her affirmations in the playbook, write out her prayer in the playbook, write out those questions, I mean those answers to questions that she wouldn't dare ever share with an audience or share with people. Those things that she's like, you know what? This book touched me. I had women contacting me that I never knew anything about their past, and they said, you wrote this in the book and this happened to me. And so now I get to have this playbook. And they said it felt like when they had the playbook that me and them were sitting Indian style across from each other, and they were able to bear their burdens to me, and I wasn't telling anybody. And so I said the playbook was an answer to people that said, this is great. I love this. And now I was able to help them transition into a game plan. Okay, this happened to me. What's next for me? What can I do to become unstuck from this truly? Because sometimes we read the book, but we need an action plan, because there's things in our life that happen that has us swirling out of control. We've prayed about it, we talked to people about it, but we still don't have an action plan. So the playbook, I transitioned from Reinvented Woman to Reinvented Woman playbook, so that every time she gets stuck in that situation, she can go back to the playbook. And when she reads that playbook, she can say, put me in the game, coach. I'm ready. So that's how I was able to kind of come up with the playbook, because I wanted us to be able to have an action plan for becoming unstuck. I don't want to just tell people to come unstuck. How are you going to do it? What if I've been unstuck all my life and I don't know how to become unstuck? So that's how I transitioned into the playbook. So the tax business that came about, now what? Well, let me just say this, and you know this for sure. We have a term in the military called barracks lawyer. So I have been one of those people who just knew a little bit about everything. I may not have known the full detail, but I was one of those people when we were in the military and we stayed in the barracks. They would be like, this is even before I got married. They would be like, oh, I had a question about this. Oh, go ask Daly. Oh, Daly may know. So it became a point where I was doing soldiers' taxes. And so I would have soldiers who's like, well, Sergeant, I don't know. When I went down to H&R Block, where I went to, like, give me those taxes. Let me do those taxes. So I was doing taxes. I was doing things, for my military folks and getting them straight. And so this is the thing. My husband, Lewis, when he was saying that he was not going to get married, there was a prophecy that came to him. A prophet came to him and said, you will get remarried and your wife will deal with numbers. So he said he's in the shop, he's cutting hair, he's laughing about it, like, oh, okay, yeah, right, wife doing numbers. So to speed it up, when we were dating and getting serious date, he was like, oh, I was told that my wife would be doing numbers. And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, well, it must not be me, because I don't deal with any numbers. I don't have a desire to deal with numbers, all this other stuff. And so fast forward, once I came to Indiana out of transition, I said, what's in my house? In my house, I mean, what am I already skilled to do that I'm able to do virtually, that I'm able to hone in on that skill already? And I'm like, wow, I've been doing taxes for free all these years. Why am I not honing in on this skill? So I took the time to find out, what do I need to do to get qualified? What do I need to do it? And I mean, it just became so natural. It was just a prayer of, what do I have in my house? What is it that I like to do besides talking? Because talking is kind of like my natural talent. I was that kid in the class that got the demerit marks for talking and that type of thing. I'm the one that encouraged girls, don't be mad if they tell you talk too much, because one day somebody will need to hear what you have to say. So don't ever shut up. Be quiet in class while you learn, but don't ever shut up in the sense of thinking no one wants to hear you. And so once I got into taxes, I was like, okay, this is great. Now let me train partners. So this last year, during COVID, we were all shut down. And so I said, I need to take this up another level. So I said, you know what? What if I can train other people that may be affected by COVID that can't, go outside to work, and show them how they can do taxes all virtually, still secure from their home, and be able to be successful. And so this past tax season, I brought on 6 tax partners, and I was able to train them. I was able to get them set up with their own virtual offices and help them get clients. And I'm telling you, it just gave me such a burst of energy. And it's like, here I am, the wife doing numbers, working in numbers. It's like, okay, that prophecy came, to pass. And so once I did that, and even now, I had a session with my coach, because I believe the goal is always to make sure that you're always growing. So here I am now. I've already had a session on what's to come for the next season. What to enhance, how to grow my business. Now since COVID and everything, everyone talks about 10xing stuff. Everyone says, oh, you got to pivot, you got to do this. It's time to 10x your business. It's time to 10 your company. And so I came up with a strategic plan on how to do it. So let's talk about this. During the time of COVID, during the time of transition, the name of my tax business, hi, Miss Andrea, the name of my tax business is the Reinvented Tax Group. The Reinvented Tax Group. You can find me on Facebook, and you can also find me or reach me on my website, thereinventednetwork.com. So during the time of COVID, I got very curious into trading and the stock market. Numbers again, here I go, dealing in numbers. And so I sought out some people that I've known that were traders and different things. And so I said, you know what, I want to learn how to do this. And so I learned how to become a day trader. Scary to some people, but I decided that this was a goal that I wanted to do. I learned how to become a day trader, but in the midst of that, I found out, oh, not so great of a day trader. And so I said, well, I didn't want to take my total hand off of what that meant, because I knew the potential there. So I reached out to someone that I knew was a great investor. And I said, what is it that I can do as far as investment? And they opened me up to the world of cryptocurrency. And so when I got opened up to the world of cryptocurrency, now it's probably been about 18 months ago. And in it, they had me promise something. And I said, okay, what is it I have to promise? They said, you've got to promise that you're not going to use your mortgage money, your car note money, your food money, anything that's deemed essential to invest. And I said, I get offended like most people. I ain't crazy now. I'm not going to use my money. But in the large scheme of things, people sometimes, when you talk about investment, they do some things that are little, unethical, or things that they should not do towards their livelihood. So when when they asked me to promise that, I said, I promise. And so I went through and I read about Bitcoin. It's a cryptocurrency. And what I read about Bitcoin and the history of it, I was very intrigued. And I said, yes, I'd like to invest. So with that, I started out about 18 months ago. And this is really, no, I'm not lying. This is the truth. I started maybe putting $10 here, $20 there, whenever I thought about it, because that's what they told me to do. Don't think about it. Don't watch it every day. Do 10 here, 20 here. So probably about doing this for about maybe a year, a little bit over a year, I said, let me just check and see what's going on, in this Bitcoin world, because I had stayed away for so long. And I looked at my account and I was like, wait a minute, what? I said, maybe I need to, look at this a little further. And so I started looking at different groups and different things that people were doing. And then we all know, even if you don't invest in crypto, we all heard this summer about Elon Musk and Dogecoin. I mean, even if you have any social media presence, you learned about, in Saturday Night Live, and they were waiting on what he was going to say to see what was going to happen in the market. So what I learned from that was that you had a lot of people who had no idea about cryptocurrency, but they invested into Doge because guess what? Elon Musk said so. So in that, I said, well, if they're investing into cryptocurrency for the first time, that means some things have to be accounted for on their taxes. Ding, 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 ding. So I have the last 6 months, I have taken courses. I've sat at the feet of those who combine crypto and taxes, learning and soaking up all that I can so that I can be prepared to share with other tax preparers how we can capture those people because they're coming. They're coming, believe it or not, at the end of this year when they start getting those little statements that say, oh, yeah, we're glad that you invested in the Doge. And by the way, you sold Doge. So, by the way, now that's a taxable event. They're coming to a tax preparer. And I want to make sure those that I know and in my sphere of influence will not be the tax preparer that says, I don't know how to do crypto taxes. And so I am currently right now writing an ebook about crypto taxes and how to prepare them. And so people will be, prepared for that so that we can advertise to those who are investing in crypto that we can absolutely help you with your taxes.
So you said that you're coming out with an ebook. Are you coming out with something that's going to be like other than the ebook? Is it just going to be ebook only?
Okay, so I will come out with a master course for tax preparers as well. And so this is a fresh off the press. I'm getting ready to give you guys something fresh off the press. This morning, I shared with my husband, I was getting prepared for my day, and it was just I'm gonna say Holy Spirit dropped to me. You need to teach people about cryptocurrency. Period. You have the tax ebook that's coming out, and I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to be completely transparent here. I had at the very beginning, that's just like how when you get saved, you tell everybody about Jesus, you're saying Jesus, 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 and people are like, yeah, whatever. Sometimes I was not compared to that, but I was really excited about Bitcoin at the very beginning. And I had people that's like, oh no, that's a scam. Oh no, I don't know about Bitcoin. Well, what happened in the interim of that is that I got very quiet about it, and I just slowly kept investing. And then I got mad. I got up today when I looked at it, I got mad because I said Bitcoin is absolutely changing some people's lives. And I really get mad because I see the scammers. Hey, mom, my mom is listening. I see the scammers that are in people inboxes saying, hey, come trade with me. Hey, come buy Bitcoin. Next month I'll make you a millionaire. I see people scamming all on Facebook, even when they make comments about savings or people ask, oh, I can show you how. And it's about recruiting. It's about network marketing. It's about them getting money. And I said, how dare, oh, that's my honey saying teach. I'm teaching. I said, how dare some of us who know this information, and we are of the kingdom. We're not trying to scam anybody. We're not trying to say, hey, come with me because you got to recruit 5 other people before you get paid. And so I told him, I said, I am just like, I got to do this because if I'm going to tell you the truth, this has been an awesome week, this very morning for those of us who invest in crypto, for those of us who invest in Bitcoin. I got an alert this morning that had my mouth open about the investment. And then I look at the projections because guess what? I got day trader training. I look at the projections for the end of this year. And I said, what if I told my husband, what if I can just teach people how to start off with $10? What if they do $10, every so often drop it for from now to the end of the year just to see what the potential of their growth could be in Bitcoin. What if I can stop them from going through that Starbucks line once a week and put that money in Bitcoin? Or, saying, hey, I'm going to go to Kroger and I'm going to where we used to eat out on Friday night as a family. Let's put this money in Bitcoin. And so what I'm looking at right now is having a class on Sunday, September 19th. Sunday, September 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those who want the basics of buying into Bitcoin. Not recruiting, not scam. I don't want anybody's, account information. It's not anything long term. I'm not going to ask you the next week to give me a percentage of your earnings, but actually showing them to the point where my brother was visiting last week. No, maybe 2 weeks ago. Well, when he was visiting, and I said, "Hey, what do you know about Bitcoin?" He said, "You know what? Somebody tried to tell me about 3 years ago, but I didn't do it." So I looked up what the price of Bitcoin was 3 years ago. The price of Bitcoin 3 years ago was about $900 a Bitcoin. Ask me what Bitcoin price is today as of September 3rd, 2021. Are y'all ready? $50,000. He got sick to his stomach. He hurried up and said, show me how to invest. Yes.
Yes.
He said,
Yes.
hurry up and get me set up on this Bitcoin.
Yes. Now I want to get this in here because we're getting close to the end of my
I'm
show.
passionate. I'm passionate about it.
I know you are. I know you are, and that's what I love about it because you're passionate about what you're saying, and your genuine heart is to help people.
Absolutely.
And because you want to help them, it's like you want to direct them in the way to go, and not just you're not trying to pull from them, you're trying to get them to something. And I love that about you because you always had that heart to help somebody to get to where they need to go. It's like, okay, I may not have everything, but I got what I got, and I can get you this part, and we're gonna get you to the next part because this is gonna happen for you. And you've always been like that motivator. It's like it's gonna happen. It may not happen today, but it's gonna happen, and we're gonna make sure that you make sure it happens for you. I wanted to ask you this question before we leave and before we end the show. I wanted to ask you, Joy, what has been one of the hardest transitions that you've had to make over the course of all the transitions that you've gone through? What do you think is the hardest one? And then after you tell us what the hardest one was, could you just share with us like something that you did to make that transition? What are some of the steps that you did? And we just have a couple of minutes, but I just want you to share that with us, please.
Okay. So, you know what? When I think about one of the hardest transitions that I've had to make was probably when I exited the military. It was very unexpected. I found out that I had to get out medically, early medical retirement, and I was not prepared for that. I was a military lifer. I was all the way in. I was doing 20, I was in it to win it. I was the camouflage. And so when I found out very short notice that I was going to have to get out medically, I felt like, what in the world? Like, what am I going to do? What is it going to be this? What is it going to be that? And so that was one of the hardest transitions because unlike those who prepare for retirement or those who say, well, I know I'm getting out in 8 years, when you have someone where this has been your sustainer for years and years, and you looked at a career, you looked at your retirement, you looked at how old you're going to be when you get out, and all of a sudden you hear, oh, you've got to go. And you only got 30 days to go. You've got mortgage, you've got house, you've got children. And so that was one of the hardest transitions I had to make. And so what happened was when I did it, I started going to resources that other retired people went to. And I was told, we can't help you with that just yet. Even the VA, they said, we can't help you during this 30-day transition, because if you're not being retired, you have to totally get out before we can help you. So I had to start pulling forth resources on my own to figure out, once they gave me that release paper, because it wasn't a retirement check, it wasn't a next month check. I had to figure out what I had to do. And so I had to reinvent, I had to revamp my, because all I had as an adult, I had been in the Army since 19. All I could do was try to get myself together for a resume, look at what I was going to do. Was I going to get a job? And oh, by the way, in the middle of that, I'm thinking, do I want to work for anybody again? Because I was used to the military, where it was like, you get up at this time, you go to bed at this time, you be here, you do this. It was very structured. And so I was like, well, I didn't plan on getting out, but now that I'm getting out, do I want to be that structured again? And so the steps that I had to take was really, I had to find out, who is Joy outside of the Army? Who am I? What is the purpose and the plan for my life? And then I knew immediately it was going to be entrepreneurship. But guess what I did? I got a job. I got a job because I knew that I had to, even though I had a little bit of cushion, I knew that I had to make money to keep money. And I had to work my plan of a job. And then I worked my business on the side. And what did I work as my business? My first plan was, I started helping veterans who had to get out. And, I helped them through the process. I started showing them, well, this is what you could do to help yourself transition, and with VA and different things. And so that was my passion. So that's how I transitioned out of that. I decided, you know what? I'll help people go through the steps that I had to do when no one else could help me.
I remember when you started that business, and you were helping you were helping all the veterans, and it was awesome though. Because I remember that. I remember I did your cards for you.
Yes,
And
yes.
yes,
Patriot Support Services.
it was awesome. And you're still moving forward and going forward. Joy, I want you to just share with us your website, where people can get in contact with you if they want to book you, or if they want to get your book. Can you please share that with us? And then I want y'all to get the book. Y'all see the book, The Reinvented Woman? Make sure that you purchase that book if you haven't already. It is a great book. You want to get the book, you want to read it. But Joy, can you share that information with us as we get ready to close out the show?
Yes. So my website, my central website, is thereinventednetwork.com. From there, you can contact me, you can book me. It's got links to purchase the book. Everything that you need is under the reinventednetwork.com. Also, if you're an Amazon Prime member and you saying, well, hey, look, I want my book right away, you can go to Amazon, look up The Reinvented Woman. It's going to be the book with the orange cover with my name on it. You can order from Amazon as well. And for those of you who are interested, in that crypto class that I'm going to be having on Sunday, September 19th at 6 p.m., go ahead and text Bitcoin, that's Bitcoin, Bitcoin, to area code 803-457-3518. Once again, text Bitcoin to 803-457-3518.
Thank you, Joy. I so appreciate you coming on here tonight. I was like, every time we get together, we talk. So I'm going to have you come back, and we have to just hone in like on one subject, because we can go for days on one subject. But I am so glad that you have joined tonight. And guys, if you didn't get the information, go back, listen to the show. It's going to replay on Saturday at 4 p.m. And you can join in, and you can re-listen, and you can write down your information. So that you will be a part of Joy's class, so that you can be a part of the class that she held here tonight on Whole and Beautiful. The Reinvented Woman, the transitions that she went through, and now she's flourishing. She flourished through every single transition I've seen her walk through. It may not have been easy, but she walked through it
Wow.
and she did it with class. She did it with dignity, and she is moving forward. And Joy, I thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I'm looking forward to the next show. I really am. That I can have you
Thank
on.
you. Thank you. And I'm just so proud of you. I am so excited about this TV show. I pray that it blesses the nations. Y'all, can I give y'all something real quick? The producer said that this show reaches 177 countries. Whole and Beautiful is global all the way. She was already global, but she is global. And I thank God because that has been the word over my life this last part of my life has been global, and I am so thankful. I thank God for you, Angela, and Whole and Beautiful Nation. I am excited.
For joining us tonight. Join us again, like I said, on tomorrow, Saturday at 4 p.m. Or you can tune back in next Friday where will be live again at 7 p.m. Until we meet again, remember that Whole and Beautiful is not just your destination, guys. It is most definitely your journey. Good night.